Shalom, family. Good to see you all. Hope you're doing well. I was up late last night because I was working on getting your orders out, and I got a notification. It must have been like around 1:23 in the morning. It was a notification that the US struck Iran again. Again. And I did not know until also when I was looking at what was going on. Iran struck Israel like around the 26th for 3 straight hours and dropped 1,000 bombs on them. So, I mean, I don't even know why these people keep talking about peace talks and ceasefire. That ain't what's going on here, y'all. This war is still going on. I don't even know why they keep telling everybody about some peace talks and peace plans and all that. What a joke. You know, they're not going to resolve this thing. They're just not. And the longer the Strait of Hormuz is closed, you can best believe it is going to be a global recession. Global. And, in the United States, I really truly believe we've been in one for quite some time. And, we are around the people that don't take responsibility for anything. So you can't expect them to tell you, those days have long passed where they would announce a recession. Now, presidents don't want to be responsible for one. So if it's going on, they're just not going to tell the public. That's pretty much how it goes now. So the US struck on Iran again for the second time within days, and Iran is striking back. That's what they're doing, but you can't count on no truth from Donald Trump. He is just being himself and talking all kinds of crap. He think if he talks a certain way, he looks tough, he looks silly, because most of us that are watching this war know darn well the US ain't winning nothing. But Pete Hegseth and Donald Trump keep talking all that. We're winning, we're winning. They sound like a bunch of fools. So, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Here we go. All right. Please give me a one if you can see my screen. Thank you.
We begin with breaking news at 6 o'clock. The U.S. has carried out new airstrikes in southern Iran. I'm David Ono.
I'm Giovanna Lana. The U.S. says it targeted a military site that was believed to pose a threat to American forces and commercial traffic in the Strait of Hormuz. These new strikes are similar to what we saw on Monday night, limited in scale and likely to be described as self-defense strikes. Iran's foreign minister calling those strikes a ceasefire violation. So far, the Iranian government has not responded to the new strikes. Today, President Trump met with his cabinet for the first time since March amid negotiations to end the war. The president suggested the U.S. is prepared to escalate attacks again if he doesn't get what he's asking for. We will continue to follow this story throughout the night.
This war has turned into one of the most humiliating foreign policy disasters in modern American history. We were told the war would project strength. We were told Iran would fold. Instead, the entire world watched the United States bomb Iran, then immediately start scrambling to negotiate back toward terms that look shockingly close to what were in place before the bombing campaign even began. Remember, Trump ripped up the original Iran nuclear deal years ago because he said it was weak, embarrassing, and pathetic. Then this administration started a war that sent oil prices surging, rattled global shipping lanes, destabilized allies, terrified financial markets, damaged American bases, got foreign civilians and Americans killed and injured, and burned through staggering amounts of military resources, only to end up negotiating over uranium limits and sanctions relief anyway. So what exactly was accomplished here? Because the shock and awe image collapsed pretty quickly once satellite imagery started coming out. The public was repeatedly reassured that Iranian retaliation was limited and largely ineffective. Then independent reporting and satellite analysis showed extensive damage across multiple U.S. facilities in the region, with hundreds of structures and systems reportedly damaged or destroyed, and hundreds of American personnel injured. Globally, the war has been catastrophic for American credibility. You would think tough guys like Pete Hegseth would know. Screaming strength all over the media machine is not strategy. Launching strikes without a stable long-term plan is not strategy. The administration keeps changing its story. And after all the death, destruction, and chest thumping, they ended up exactly where they started, just with a much higher body count. Yeah.
United States has launched military strikes yet again against Iran in the Strait of Hormuz, violating the ceasefire. It just happened moments ago. Let me repeat, the United States military has just targeted Iran in yet another military strike. The United States military is confirming that they just targeted numerous sites in Iran, and they are saying that this was purely defensive, that this was defensive in nature, even though they were attacking Iran. Let's talk. So we will see what happens next here. This is how it was being reported on CBS News. Iran's parliament leader, through a spokesperson, put out the following strategic assessment. Iran saying, should we start striking some of the other countries in the region, as Iran's been working on a bilateral basis with these Arab nations, working to do deals with them directly, as Donald Trump was in the White House today talking about how he will blow up Oman. That was Donald Trump's latest threat. He would blow up Oman, and Trump was demanding that all Arab nations join in alliances with Israel and join the Abraham Accords, even though most Arab nations say they're never going to do that until Palestine is recognized in East Jerusalem as its capital by Israel. And those were the threats that Donald Trump made today. And Trump was like, maybe this guy over here, Hegseth, he loves war. Maybe he will just finish you off. And by the way, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Qatar, Pakistan, you owe us to become allies with Israel. You owe it to us. I was watching that this morning. I was like, what the heck are we watching? Meanwhile, Iran's head of their Parliament National Security Council, Ibrahim Azizi, put out the following statement as well. Iran will not back down from its red lines, such as the right to enrichment and enriched uranium, management of the Strait of Hormuz, and the lifting of sanctions in the face of Trump's rhetoric. Everyone knows that Trump, in order to save himself from his strategic deadlock, resorts to the tool of threats one day and begs for an agreement in the next. Now, as the United States military has just targeted Iran in the Strait of Hormuz, once again in the area of Bandar Abbas, Israel has also launched massive attacks on the city of Tyre in southern Lebanon. We saw mass evacuations in this southern city of Lebanon earlier today, and Israel is just leveling this city on the ground, as I'm sure you're all aware from watching our coverage.
We're doing really equally as well with, but again, people don't want to write about it, with Iran. Iran is very much intent. They want very much to make a deal. So far, they haven't gotten there. We're not satisfied with it, but Now, we will be. We will be either that or we'll have to just finish the job. But their Navy is gone, as I've said 1,000 times. Their Navy is gone. Their Air Force is gone. Everything's gone, and they're negotiating on fumes. But we'll see what happens. Maybe we have to go back and finish it. Maybe we don't. Right now, I mean, you can speak to Steve Witkoff and Jared. They're doing a good job. But right now, I think it looks like they want to just make a deal. They want to. They have. I don't think they have a choice. They're just going back to the internet because they're getting clobbered. Their economy is in free fall.
Things between Iran and USA are getting worse. Today, the US military conducted new airstrikes inside Iran, shooting down 4 Iranian attack drones and striking a military site. This is the second round of strikes in 3 days, while a ceasefire is supposedly still in place. And then, at a cabinet meeting today, Trump threatened to blow up Oman, a US ally, because Iran and Oman were reportedly in talks about jointly managing the Strait of Hormuz. Trump said, and I quote, "Oman will behave just like everybody else, or we'll have to blow them up." Human rights organizations are calling it mafia boss tactics. Legal experts are saying it violates the UN Charter. This is now at least the 15th country Trump has threatened or attacked since taking office. Iran's response today was clear. The parliamentary security chief said Tehran will not abandon uranium enrichment and will not give up its position on the strait, period. But meanwhile, the White House is saying negotiations are proceeding nicely. Rubio has been saying that there has been some progress. Here's the reality. The strait has been essentially closed for nearly 90 days. That is 20% of the world's oil. The European Central Bank warned this week the conflict could trigger a global financial meltdown if it continues. Gas prices are going to keep rising. Grocery prices are going to keep rising. Interest rates are going to keep rising. Everything is going to shit. And if you are not preparing, you better prepare. I have other videos telling you how to prepare. Make sure you're following me for updates. Like this video, share, comments. Bye.
I'm on your screen? Good. That means I'm here to give you the updates surrounding this war with the United States. It's not real versus Iran. Today is May 28th, 2026, Thursday. Let's get it. Quickly going to be recapping what has been happening last night and into today, all right? So Iran has kept word on its promise and making sure that any attacks that come from the United States doesn't go unanswered. They fired a missile aimed at an American airbase in Kuwait last night, late Wednesday night. And in the event that you haven't been keeping up with everything, I mean, this is what my content is for, right? The United States and Iran have been exchanging new airstrikes for the last 3 days. And when it comes to the most recent airstrike that Iran had issued out that actually took place late Wednesday night, both militaries from Kuwait and the United States have reported that Kuwait actually shot down the missile and that there was no damage and no casualties. Iran's reason for this attack is that it's actually a response to one of the attacks that came from the United States earlier, hours earlier. Wednesday evening, the United States had issued out some strikes that were aimed towards Iranian port cities near the Strait of Hormuz. And now with this exchange of strikes between Iran and the United States, all it does is further expose how weak, you understand, how little the original ceasefire plan is actually being honored, with both nations accusing the other of violating the agreements of said ceasefire. So you already know what that means. The war, the ending of this war is not coming anytime soon. It is not coming to a theater near you, okay? Which actually supports some of the commentary that came from Donald Trump in yesterday's cabinet meeting. You know, one, him stating that the agreement between the two sides wasn't close, but also that he was not rushed. You understand? He wasn't rushed. He wasn't pressed. He doesn't feel any pressure from international economic pressure and or political pressure from the upcoming midterms. Then the United States president decided to issue out a threat to United States ally Oman, stating that he was going to blow him up. Reading the quote out loud, right? Oman will behave just like everybody else or we will have them blown up, he said during a cabinet meeting, before adding, they understand that, they'll be fine. And now observers are questioning whether or not if Donald Trump actually misspoke, if he misspoke in threatening a United States ally, and actually drawing more attention towards the concerns of Donald Trump, of President Trump's, his cognitive skills on whether or not it's actually declining. Yeah, maybe don't question. Now, during that cabinet meeting, Donald Trump made a whole bunch of claims. He said he made a whole bunch of claims, right? One, that the strait is going to be opened. No one's going to control it. Iran has been controlling it and cutting off access for the better part of almost 3 months. but okay. He's stating that, you know, Iran really wants to make a deal. They really, really want to make a deal. Now here, I just want you to see the words for yourself. I want you to see him talking about how Iran really wants to make a deal, how they haven't gotten far there, how the United States isn't satisfied, but they will be. This is all the BS that he was saying in that meeting. But then, right, the Trump administration lets everybody know that they're going to be imposing sanctions. Why? Because a new agency in Iran announced this month that they will now start charging a $2 million, up to $2 million fee toll in order to have, you understand, ships get access or authorization to leave the Strait of Hormuz. You want these ships? You're going to pay that $2 million. And to me, I don't know. It doesn't sound like Iran is desperate. It doesn't seem like Iran is desperate. That's just my, educated guess. And when Donald Trump sat in that fucking cabinet meeting yesterday on Wednesday and stated that he didn't care about the midterms, that man wasn't lying. He actually, for once, wasn't lying. Being president of the United States to Donald Trump is a side quest. It's a side quest. While other Americans dream about being president of the United States, actually working towards this for all of their life, this is a side quest for Donald Trump, okay? He is a businessman first, president second. While all past presidents of the United States of America took a break, right, in their personal business affairs, Donald Trump has been more active in his companies than ever before. Also making more money in the last 2 years than he's ever made in his entire life. So at the same time, the same day where the president of the United States was announcing to the American citizens that he doesn't care about the midterms, he's not pressed. You understand that you cannot pressure him. He's not going to be moving any faster for any of you guys, right? News broke that an American tech company, Nevada, right, lost an $30 billion opportunity with China. Y'all remember 2 weeks ago how Trump had that trip, that summit, that 2-day summit in China, where he brought 17 of his tech CEO friends? The American tech company, and I'm going to keep saying that, the American tech company, right, failed to secure a deal, a sale with Beijing that would have resulted in almost $30 billion. And Trump actually personally traveled to go and meet with, I think it's Zai. I don't know how to pronounce it correctly, but somebody in the comments will put that in there for me, right? Meeting with him personally with the aims, right? With the intention, with the goal of being able to secure that sale. The president of the United States is taking trips to China to help American companies be able to secure deals instead of trying to strengthen the relationship between that nation and the United States government. I want you guys all to please pay attention to that. So when I say that being president of the United States is a side quest to Donald Trump, you see what I'm talking about. Here's the evidence. And then it brings us all back to the whole stock manipulation. Somebody is making a killing right now. There's somebody on the inside that knows everything that's about to go down before it goes down, and they're making a fucking killing. Mark my words. That group of people, those people, the oligarchies, right? They don't want, you understand, this war to end. They want the price of gas and oil to continue to skyrocket. They want all of this economic pressure, this international economic pressure that every part of the world is feeling right now to continue, because it's making them money. It's making them money. And instead of taking advantage of the very small, the little space that we have right now, where America actually has oil to sell and trying to basically sell ourselves to China, Trump took a trip to try to help his buddies be able to secure a deal. Instead of helping, you understand, Americans get out of inflation caused by the skyrocketing, right? Price in gas and oil and inflation. He decided to go personally to see if he could secure a deal for an American tech company that I would bet money he has a stake in, excuse me. Now, any sane person in America knows exactly what I'm putting down. Y'all following me? You following me? So now I'm going to speak directly to MAGA, right? Because y'all the only ones that lack common sense. Let me try to speak to you, right, in a way that you understand. White man, fight back. Fight back. Because there's one white man right now that's robbing y'all all blind.
So apparently we're in a ceasefire with Iran, except the US just launched more strikes inside Iran. According to CBS, American forces shot down 4 Iranian drones and bombed a launch site near the Strait of Hormuz because the drones were allegedly preparing another attack. And somehow the White House is still calling this a defensive ceasefire. That's like punching someone in the face and yelling, "calm down," while you're doing it. Trump is now openly threatening to restart full-scale bombing if Iran doesn't agree to a deal fast enough. At the same time, the Strait of Hormuz, one of the most important oil shipping routes on Earth, is basically in chaos. Global markets are nervous, and the world is sitting here hoping this doesn't spiral into a much bigger war. But the craziest part? Trump stood at the cabinet meeting saying, maybe we'll go back and finish it, maybe we don't. This is not diplomacy. This sounds like somebody deciding foreign policy mid-rant. And meanwhile, Americans are supposed to just sit here pretending the entire situation is stable and under control.
The U.S. just carried out a whole new strike on Iran tonight. The Pentagon is confirming the U.S. military has struck down 4 drones posing a threat to the Strait. CENTCOM also confirming bombing of an Iranian military base, launching a 5th attack drone. We're told that these strikes were purely defensive in order to maintain the ceasefire and came in just after the president called a high-stakes cabinet meeting at the White House, yours truly has been telling you guys about for 2 days. The main topic, Iran.
We got breaking news coming out of Iran tonight. A fresh wave of airstrikes by the United States military, United States Navy, conducted airstrikes in and around Bandar Abbas. It's a major port right along the Strait of Hormuz. This was triggered by 4 one-way drones launched by the IRGC at United States commercial shipping. I don't know what this is going to do to the ceasefire deal. Iran says it wants a deal. And while all these diplomats are talking, Iranian drones are still moving near the Strait of Hormuz. The U.S. forces are still having to take them out. That tells you the real story. This is not peace yet. This is leverage warfare. I'm going to show you exactly what's going on. So this is the location of the airstrike, Strait of Hormuz, Bandar Abbas. You can see it right in and around Larik Island. And I want to zoom in a little bit here. You can see these yellow dots with circles. That is where the airstrikes took place. This is where the IRGC has been launching drones. They have been launching these speed boats, these mosquito boats, and now it's going to get worse for them.
Fox News alert, we just carried out a new wave of strikes in Iran. The Pentagon confirming to Fox that U.S. forces struck 4 Iranian drones posing a threat to the Strait. CENTCOM also bombing an Iranian military site that was seconds away from launching a 5th drone. We're told these strikes were purely defensive and intended to maintain the ceasefire, quote unquote.
At what point do the Iranians realize whenever they do this, whenever they provoke the United States military, that it's only going to get worse? You heard there, they want a peace deal. They launched 4 drones. They were about to launch a 5th, and the United States military struck the site. Iran knows that it can't beat the U.S. Navy in a straight fight. So it is doing what Iran always does. Drones, mines, fast boats, missile sites, and pressure on the world's most important oil checkpoint. Because Iran does not have to defeat America to create a crisis. It only has to do things like this. What I want to understand.
You know, I wanted y'all to hear this idiot, because there are a lot of people in this country that believe Donald Trump when he say that the U.S. won. This idiot believes him. And unfortunately, you can find a lot of people talking about, we just handed Iran their asses back to them. You know, they believe the propaganda that Donald Trump, Pete Hegseth, Marco Rubio, you know, what they're putting out. So that's why we're beating them and we're doing it. You're not doing nothing, you idiot. But like I said, there are many that will just believe Donald Trump. So, y'all, this war is back on. You know, Donald Trump does the same thing every time. He'll bomb them and then turn around talking about, we're in peace talks. We're in peace talks. And Iran, I know Iran is going to respond in about a day, letting you know that they're not even talking to Donald Trump. That's usually the protocol when he does this. So, y'all, I tell you what, I think both Donald Trump and Netanyahu are very sick. You know, I've been hearing on several occasions Donald Trump going back and forth to Walter Reed, and I believe Netanyahu is hospitalized. Now, remember, he said he was treated for his prostate cancer, and I'm hearing mixed messages that he's not cured. He put that out there, but he's not. And I believe he has a very aggressive form of it. So, do you think it's a coincidence that these men are having medical problems at the same time? I sure don't. I don't. So, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and conclude. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you for all of your support. You know, the reason why I had to cut down to 2 videos live instead of my normal 3 is because y'all have kept me busy with the orders, and I don't mind that one bit. And I thank you for all of your support. And, you know, my dedication is to make sure these orders make it out and you get them quickly. That's my goal. So I'm going to be working on that and get all of the orders ready for tomorrow morning so they can go out first thing in the morning. So, y'all, thank you, and be on the lookout for my next live. Shalom, family.